Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Wassalatu wassalamu ala Sayyidina Muhammadin wa alihi wa sahbihi wa azwajihi wa zurriyatihi ajma'in. Going to look at this entry about Descartes' conception of matter. Okay. So, in his account of physical universe, as against mental universe, Descartes introduces three elements out of which all material items are composed. Okay, the first one is which the sun and its stars are made consist of very small fast-moving particles, so violently agitated that when they meet each other they are divided into particles of indefinite smallness, very small and indefinite smallness. So that's the first about sun and stars, probably. Second is composed of slightly larger but still minute and imperceptible spherical particles and goes to make up the heavens, that is the matter which fills the space between the stars and planets. So Descartes, that's important, Descartes firmly denying the existence of any vacuum. And number three, third element consists of bulkier particles with shape less suited for motion, with shapes, less suited for motion. The motion is important. Make up the matter of which the Earth and other planets are composed. Okay, so that's it from his principles of physics, or some such book. Superficially, you should remember that Descartes had a huge influence on Newton. Not in the sense that Newton accepted his views, but actually Newton, when he was reading Descartes' book, he sort of basically developed his view partially anyway, through a dialogue with, coming up with argument against Descartes' position. So superficially, this classification seems partly to mirror the traditional scholastic division of matter into natural kinds based on the ancient Aristotelian elements of fire, air, earth, and water, except that the last two elements are reduced in Descartes to a single category. So the fire belongs to sun and stars, and air is the space, and earth and water is the earth. But as Cottingham says, this is a dictionary by Cottingham, who is a great Descartes scholar, Anglo-Saxon, great Anglo-Saxon Descartes scholar. But it is superficially because in that respect, but Descartes makes it clear that his talk of elements is nothing more than convenient classification in respect of size, shape, and motion. These are important: size, shape, and motion, so-called primary qualities of Galileo. He firmly denies that there are any intrinsic, generic differences involved. So all three types of matter have the same essence, in a sense. The nature of matter or body considered in general concept, not in its being something which is hard or heavy or colored or which affects the senses in any way, but simply in its being something that is extended in length, breadth. So that's basically Descartes' conception of matter. So he basically equates matter with extension, and by inference, I guess, matter in space, because space for him is also extension. We'll look at that. So this is very important. So for Descartes, what is the essence of matter? The essence of matter is extension. The extension in all three respects. The extension in length, um, breadth, and depth. So matter is, the essence of matter is so the earlier book I mentioned, it must be the principles of philosophy rather than principle of physics, which includes obviously philosophy as well. So that's very important because here he equates matter with so because he defines matter as extension in its three dimensions. So in that sense, matter is not in space, but it is a space. Matter is a space. Because this extension, which is matter, is required be any spatiality at all. So spatiality presumes matter. Spatiality cannot exist without matter. In that sense, there can't be any space without matter. That is another way of saying that there can't be any vacuum, I think. So that's what he is saying here. The nature of matter or body considered in general concept, not in being something that which is hard or heavy or colored or which affects the senses in any way, but the essence, we're talking about the nature of matter or the essence, simply in its being something which is extended in length, breadth, and depth. The doctrine of the homogeneity or genuity of the doctrine of the homogeneity of all matter appeal to Descartes for two principal reasons. Meaning that they have same nature. Because it enabled all physics, which is part of his, to be unfolded in quantitative rather than qualitative matter, because you can measure um, extension, but you can't measure so-called secondary qualities, um, like color and things. They have subjectivity. I mean, we are not saying that they are not the effect of primary qualities there, but they have to interact with subjectivity to exist in a way, and so it can't be measured. On the other hand, you can measure quantity, you can measure that's what length and breadth and extension in general. But so be unfolded in quantitative rather than qualitative by means of laws describing behaviors of particles by reference to their size, shape, and motion. You can measure all these things. And in the second place, because the doctrine represented a spectacular reduction in the number of spatial entities or properties that needed to be involved. Descartes make his reductionist view, like reducing things to what is minimum, as far as quite explicit in his methodology, published in with the discourse on method, I guess, in 1637. To make you accept all these suppositions more easily, bear in mind that I regard these principles as all being composed of one single kind of matter, and believe that each of them could be divided repeatedly in infinitely many ways, and that there is no more difference between them than there is between stones of various different shapes cut from the same rock. Bear in mind, too, that to avoid a breach with the philosophers, that is, scholastics, I have no wish to deny any further items which they may imagine embodied over and above what I have described, such as substantial forms or their real qualities or so on. It simply seems to me that my argument must be all the more acceptable insofar as I can make them depend on fewer things. So he is not denying other things, but he's saying that for his explanation or his physics, you need matter, you need primary qualities, you need extension, you can measure them, and that's all. The apparent concession to the scholastics in this place is evidently heavy with irony. While Descartes does not aim to disprove the existence of the forms and qualities posited by scholastics, is the Christian theologian, I guess. His aim is clearly to show that appeal to such notions will simply die a natural death once it has been shown that they are for explanatory purpose in physics, and for completely redundant. They are not needed. Compared his elimination of the need to posit entities like the vegetative or sensitive soul in physiology. Okay, I think that was quite good. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك نشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك ونتوب إليك، وصل وسلم على سيدنا ومولانا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه وأزواجه وذريته أجمعين برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. اللهم انصر أولياءك في غزة وفي لبنان وفي اليمن وفي العراق وفي كل مكان. اللهم انصرهم على عدوك وعدوهم منك على كل شيء قدير. اللهم فرج عنا ولإخواننا في غزة وفي فلسطين كلها وفي اليمن وفي لبنان. اللهم نفس كربنا وكربنا، ثبت أقدامنا وأقدام والطبنا بهم وبهم يا أرحم الراحمين يا أكرم الأكرمين. اللهم طهر الحرمين الشريفين من رجال السعود، وطهر المسجد الأقصى من رجل الصهاينة والأمريكان، وطهر البلاد الإسلامية من أعوان السلمة وأعوان الأمريكان وأذنابهم يا رب العالمين. اللهم إنا نتوسل إليك بشهداء غزة أن تقبل دعانا وتحقق رجانا. وصل وسلم على سيدنا ومولانا وشفينا وطبيب قلوبنا المصطفى المجتبى الوسيع الخليل محمد عبدك ورسولك، وعلى آله وأصحابه وأزواجه وذريته وإترته وأعوانه وأنصاره إلى يوم الدين، ولعنة الله على أعدائهم إلى يوم الدين أجمعين برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين.